Greetings, everyone. This is Rock and Roll Spot Connection with the weekly comic book roundup. We've already covered this week's X-Men books. Now let's move on to this week's Avengers titles, as well as our miscellaneous Marvel books. Kicking things off with Avengers number 36. Where we left off, Black Panther had escaped the clutches of Khonshu's minions and basically showed up to start some shit with Khonshu. And Moon Knight had tried to take the Starbrand baby from Iron Man and Captain Marvel, and Iron Man almost let him have the baby. Also, Khonshu has been killing legions upon legions of alternate Mephistos as they each show up at his pyramid. So, we begin on the moon. Earlier, I'll just read what Moon Knight says. Don't let the name fool you. The moon's not my usual beat. As Moon Knight, I keep to the places where the lunar light doesn't reach. Alleyways, sewers, basement butcher shops, the depths of the city's most Stygian shadows. Places where you tend to find the nurse-murdering hatchet men and nuns with crossbows and mercenaries with their faces carved off. You know, my kind of people. When it comes to the people, I prefer to be punching. But today I drove a flaming car through space, searching for a star-powered super baby so I could maybe save the planet from the devil. The devil I already murdered with a magic hammer. What the hell do I think I'm doing? I keep mumbling that question over and over into the empty whiteness of my holy shroud, but my bitch of a god doesn't seem to be listening. So I close my eyes and I ask the darkness, and the blood rain answer comes roaring back at me, flecked with fire. But he's interrupted his thoughts. Then cut back to now, where Moon Knight is fighting Black Panther, wishing he could be back in the alleys. The sweet comfort of bludgeoning someone who you knew damn well there's a broken bone you'll leave in the bloody slop that used to be their face. But he can't stop punching now because the fight is too profound, too infinite. It doesn't matter how it bloodies his knuckles or whose blood it is. That was earlier, Moon Knight was interrupted in his thoughts. Interrupted by none other than the Unseen. And basically, the first part of the book actually does go back and forth between Moon Knight with the Unseen earlier and Moon Knight fighting Black Panther now. But the Unseen says to Moon Knight that Moon Knight's praying to the wrong god. To save the world, he must pray to the thing that eats the world. We then find out what happened after Black Panther showed up to challenge Khonshu. They argued for a bit, and Khonshu threw Mjolnir at him. And we learned that apparently at one point, the first Black Panther, T'Challa's ancestor, he wielded Mjolnir. And Khonshu is not pleased with Mjolnir being as willful as it is. And then we get but then Moon Knight arrives, say he won't use any of the powers to fight Black Panther. He'll fight Black Panther with his fists. However, Khonshu has made Black Panther to believe that he's actually that it's not Black Panther he's fighting, but rather Mephisto. So the two of them duke it out. And while he fights Black Panther, Moon Knight explains that he's praying. Praying for a new him. Meanwhile, Iron Man and Captain Marvel are flying into space with the Starbrand baby, who apparently is enjoying being in space. And Captain Marvel very much wants to know just what the hell happened to Tony in the Stone Age and insists that they will be discussing that later. In fact, if Carol needs to beat it out of Tony, she will. However, then Khonshu arrives, basically telling Iron Man and Captain Marvel, turn over the Starbrand baby and he'll give them quick deaths. In New Thebes City, She-Hulk, Captain America, Blade, and Robbie are on their way to the pyramid. Though Robbie was not initially part of the plan, he just borrowed an ambulance. However, the fight between Moon Knight and Black Panther does end with Moon Knight's defeat. As Black Panther begins to walk away, Moon Knight asks him to finish it. But he has to finish the prayer. Black Panther misunderstands this, thinking that Moon Knight wishes to die for his sins, and explains that his fist should not serve as Moon Knight's means of suicide. But Moon Knight simply says he doesn't want to die, he wants him to bleed. And if Black Panther won't make him bleed, he knows someone who will. And Moon Knight claims that Khonshu has lost himself to fear. This doesn't mean he's wrong. Just more power is needed. That's why he had to pray to show his sacrifice. Though not to the moon or the stars, but to the thing that eats them. And the Phoenix Force arrives and takes over Moon Knight, making him into the Fist of the Phoenix. And he claims that from here on out, he doesn't pray to anyone except himself. And that is where the issue ends. Which brings us to Savage Avengers number 12. Where we left off in Savage Avengers, Kulan Gath was apparently slowly beginning to marshal his forces, and has been revealed to Doctor Strange that Goth has been cannibalizing sorcerers over the ages, increasing his own power in doing so. And little by little, Strange is marshalling his own forces. So we begin at the Sanctorum. Apparently, Elektra and Doctor Strange are enjoying each other's company. And the Doc turned off the gravity so they could do so. Elektra, when they're done, Elektra does ask if he does that for all the women he beds. Though he claims that'll be the least memorable part of the night. And they've got someone in a box as well. They call a mystical carriage to take them to a specific location. The Swamps of Ogun. It's revealed that within the box is Daniel Drum, the brother of Jericho brother Voodoo Drum. It's explained that Daniel Drum joined the Hand for a chance to restore his body to life. Then that second of the Hand got taken over by Cullen Goth, so he'd rather be at the Swamp of Ogun, but all things considered. However, the voodoo entity that Strange is dealing with isn't entirely digging this deal. However, Strange does add that, soul for a soul, and, he has a richer offer than Daniel Drum. When this is over, they will have slain Cullen Goth, and Goth can be the voodoo entities. Or Strange will be dead, and he can claim, and the entity can claim Strange's soul. Explain there may be others interested. There may be other interested parties, Mephisto and an old combat disc club he subscribed to during his internship, but the claim of the voodoo entity will be strong. Kalfu. Kalfu is the name of the entity, by the way. Kalfu says that a poor substitute is being offered, but he never bets against the Sorcerer Supreme when they're ready to gamble their soul. However, Daniel Drum has the stink of the Hand upon his soul. So, Elektra runs him through with a sigh, explaining that the chaste are gone, but that would have been the only way to cleanse the stain of the Hand from his soul. Kalfu was impressed by this. But Daniel's soul is reunited with Jericho, and they go off. In Mexico, now they have to find Conan. However, Electra explains that she put a tracker on him, so that'll be easy, actually. In Mexico, Conan deals with a cultist with a small Kulin Goth stuck on, or Shumagorath stuck on his head, and cleaves the cultist in two, rescuing a Mexican civilian, taking to a grocery she dropped on the ground. Then goes after the cultists who released the Shumagorath thing. Due to sorcery, though, the two promptly die. When Elektra shows up, which of course makes Conan quite happy, as he was hoping that he would meet her again. Followed promptly by Strange, who does apologize for treating Conan poorly when they last met. And it turns out that Strange has been putting together a war party. The Drum brothers, Magic, and Wolverine, both of the X-Men, Black Widow, and Damon Hellstrom. Kind of saddened they couldn't get the rest of the band together with Punisher and Venom, but oh well. I think right now Punisher's laying low for the moment. But that is where the issue ends. Which brings us to our next entry, our next book of the week. Falcon and Winter Soldier, number 3. Where we left off, Falcon and Winter Soldier were on the trail of a Hydra operative, a young Hydra operative known as the Natural, who is extremely talented and actually seems to have quite a bit of respect for Sam and Bucky, even if he is trying to kill him. and they've ended up at the Natural's home. Apparently, his parents are the biggest Captain America fans in the world. It's explained that they've collected just about every piece of Captain America memorabilia there is. Replica shields, costumes, action figures, plushies, candy dispensers, bedspreads, underwear, key rings, keychains, cereals, mouse pads, letter openers, ice cube trays. Then they're quite impressed to have Sam and Bucky there. Not just one, but two Captain Americas in their home. But they do ask about their son. And yeah, the Natural's parents do have some concerns. But it's explained that if Sam and Bucky really want the Natural to listen to them, they shouldn't go after their son. They shouldn't go after the Natural dressed as Winter Soldier and Captain America and Falcon, but rather as Captain America and Captain America. After all, they've got the costumes. So they send them to the two to a training facility. Cap and Bucky sneak in and they find the Natural, blindfolded, sitting in front of a disassembled pistol. Which the Natural promptly begins putting together. And as the two get behind him, he's got it put together, and the Natural's not a bad kid. And but Falcon and Bucky do try to explain that joining Hydra isn't a good thing to do. No matter what they say, they haven't changed. But the Natural disagrees. So there's going to be a new Hydra Supreme, and things are going to be different when Zemo's out. And he's got a bulletproof shield, which he gives to Captain America. And an elevator opens, and he gets in and explains that this is a training facility. If they'd arrived the next day, the instructors would have already moved on. But they arrived today, so they're all still here. And they're coming for the Captain's America. The instructors being a bunch of Hydra operatives. So, yeah. Sam and Bucky wade into the Hydra operatives. Sam offering a little bit of mercy if anyone can tell him what happened to a woman named Sally McKenzie. While Bucky is not offering any quarter. They take down the Hydra goons, and then the Natural shows back up, and Natural's got his own little Cap outfit, and he is fanboying over Bucky and Sam. So, but they listen to the Natural's pitch, and also find out about him. His parents showed him some old newsreels when he was a kid, and But he explains he wants to be Cap. So Cap's perfect, and not just his physique or his combat style, but his code. And so Falcon straight up asks him, how can you admire Steve Rogers' code of conduct and still be okay with murdering a bunch of people in their office? The Natural responds, the greatest villains in the world don't have superpowers or advanced tech. They were ugly ties to watch TV talent shows, and they wrap you up in red tape and bureaucracy. And that's what Hydra will be sweeping away. And Sam explains that he can see why Natural's folks think he's being led down a dark path, but it's not too late. Adding, hey, Bucky got led down a dark path. brainwashed, still managed to find his way back. If the Winter Soldier can turn around, then the Natural surely can. He said to want to. And the Natural does ask Bucky, does he think he can? And Bucky explains that right now he's walking through blood. It's splashing with every step. But he doesn't want to be wading through it. Because once you start wading, it's hard not to slip backward, even when you think you're out. He explained that, the Natural's going to face charges for what he's done, but the courts do go easier on people who've helped out. While all this is going on, Sam and Bucky are working on at least somewhat helping one of the Hydra goons. And Bucky does ask the Natural what he did with Veronica Eden. And he explains that he did nothing with Veronica. Who I might add was Bucky's handler. He didn't do it, and the Natural says he didn't abduct Bucky's handler. In fact, the whole thing was her idea. She's going to be the new Hydra Supreme. And she's also watching the security feeds from the training facility at another location while enjoying a cup of coffee. Probably not too pleased either that the Natural just said, yeah, kind of implied that maybe Bucky was being used to do Hydra dirty work yet again. And that's where the issue ends. Brings us to our final Marvel book of the week. Marvel's X, number 5. Where we left off in Marvel's X. Oh, wait, no, not our last. Next last. We still got Marvel Zombies. So our next to last Marvel book of the week. Where we left off, in the world that will become known as Earth X, the last human, a boy named David, has finally managed to find the remaining heroes of Earth, who are very curious to try and figure out just what it is about him that makes him immune to the changes that everyone seems to be going through. We open up with him talking about what it is that makes Captain America the best hero who ever was, while he's on his way to the Baxter Building. They kind of get a look at the mutated crowd on the street outside the Baxter Building. Ox of the Enforcers has shown up alongside another man. Man wearing a hat, keeping himself largely covered, but with a suit that appears to be somewhat green, perhaps with some hints of purple as well. But testing begins on David. Hank Pym, Bruce Banner, Reed Richards, Tony Stark all get involved. Spider-Man heads home to check on his daughter. Thing's not entirely enthused about Reed's the possibility of Reed managing to come up with a cure. David ends up talking to the Falcon, while he really admires Cap, he always wanted to be the Falcon, basically be Cap's friend. And Falcon explains that right now it's hard to be Cap, because everywhere he goes is the same thing. It's not a democracy anymore. It's not about different voices. It's about one angry, frightened voice. And Cap's always fought for freedom. Now he's fighting to keep control of his fellow citizens. And that's not his way. With Falcon acting like they dropped a mad bomb on everyone. Meanwhile, Iron Fist, Icarus, Thor, and the Thing are discussing what's going on, especially the fact that Hercules seems to just go off on his own for some reason. And Icarus explains that the gods of this world are leaving or going into hiding. Because they won't be worshipped now that mankind has finally become what they have always wanted to be, gods themselves. And it should be noted that Icarus, one of the Eternals, is constantly side-eyeing the Thing, who points this out, and Icarus explains because Ben does look a bit like a deviant. Um, Thor remarks that he misses being he misses Donald Blake and being human some of the time. He thinks that maybe that was in truth what made him worthy to hold Mjolnir. At the police station where Kraven's being held by Sergeant Cage, the two get a visitor in the form of the Defender Nighthawk, whose precognitive abilities are apparently returning slightly. Apparently, he talked. It was the aftermath of a deal with Mephisto, and Nighthawk discussed everything with Johnny Blaze. He said there's no lasting cure after a deal with Mephisto is made. So he figures he'll help. He can help Sergeant Cage. However, Kraven, apparently Kraven doesn't want to die anymore. And what's to come is the Order of the Beast. He will be freed. Just watch. But Beast, Hank, Beast, Hank Pym, Mr. Fantastic, and Bruce Banner are discussing the fact that apparently the tests on David were rather inconclusive. Though David does ask, hey, if you do manage to cure everyone, can you still find a way to give me superpowers? But everyone kind of looks at him like he's crazy. On Spider-Man's way home, he runs into Angel and Iceman. It turns out that Angel and Iceman are kind of doing grocery delivery for those whose mutations have proven less than uncanny. Basically, they go on the roof of buildings with groceries, and Iceman makes some ice slides go into windows of their customers, and they let the groceries slide into the windows. And it's actually kind of a neat idea. So then Spider-Man gets home, and him and his daughter have some ice cream. Outside the Baxter building, however, Ox and his ally, who I'm fairly certain is Norman Osborn, they discovered a way into the Baxter building. And they storm. And inside, Daredevil explains tells the heroes what's going on as the villains enter. So security protocols are put into place, and Mr. Fantastic explains that there's more to the Baxter Building's defenses than a door with a really big lock. And that's a promise from Mr. Fantastic, as all the heroes begin to charge into battle. That is where the issue ends. Which brings us to what is now definitely our last Marvel book of the week. Marvel Zombies Resurrection, #2. Where we left off, the zombie plague had wiped out a massive chunk of Earth. Valeria and Franklin Richards were traveling with Forge, Spider-Man, Moonstone, and a slightly reprogrammed Sentinel. However, Forge got killed by Beast, and Moonstone left only to come back infected, and then she was killed by Blade as the kids were getting ready to sneak away without Spider-Man. So the issue begins in a bit of a flashback with the flashback or dream sequence. The FF's got the kids, but like I said, it turned out to be a dream sequence. They're heading towards the But the Sentinels headed towards NO territory, non-organic. Blade explains that the robots call themselves NOs now. The Shield and Coalition used robots against the dead at first, since the undead can't turn machines. But since the human population felt almost nothing, the NOs have been fighting for themselves, duking out with the dead for King of the Hill. And Peter asks Blade what he's doing there, and what he's getting out of all this. And he's a man who knows his purpose in life. Killing undead's all he cares to do. That pretty much makes the world Disneyland to him. He's not overburdened with concern for the Richards family, or for the Centenary, or even Spider-Man. He doesn't really think they've got a chance in hell of saving the world. But Blade does wager there's going to be a lot of undead where they're going, and that's good enough for him. But speaking, and as if on cue, 4 zombified members of Alpha Flight show up and are promptly taken down by Blade and company as they crash into the non-organic zone. They're then rescued by some of the non-organics, led by Machine Man, as well as a transmode infected Frank Castle and Viv Vision. Viv does pass along a bit of what's happened, but there are components of her past programming that are missing, and she has interacted with organics for a while. And so, but Blade, Spider-Man, and Richard's children get brought to a waiting room. The idea is they're going to be cleared of the zombie virus and then infected with the transmode virus. However, as this is going on, something's happening outside. Turns out the base is under attack by the Hulks, among others. So the heroes escape. Their sentinels being slowly repaired, but it has managed to be somewhat repaired. And they're able to get out, but they're not able to move fast enough. And so Viv asks Peter why he's going with the kids, and he finds he wants kids to believe in something again. And she hands him something from her belt before basically dropping off the Sentinel and attacking the zombie Hulk as the Sentinel flies away. And the package that Viv gave Peter is old web shooters. And they continue on, and Valeria is working on the bioweapon that Forge was working on when he passed. So if it works, it'll be a good one. They're getting closer to the galactic radiation trail, so they might almost be there. Apparently, it's over the Atlantic Ocean, though. Meaning, they're likely headed for the Atlantis colony. And that is where the issue ends. That's it for this portion of the roundup. As always, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Links to my Facebook, Twitter, Patreon, and PayPal can be found in the description box down below. This is Rock and Roll Spock signing off, saying, live long and rock hard.